The key to success in life, in my experience, is you have to find the right person to tell to fuck off.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Prestige Living Podcast. So with that, who do you want to be?
Okay, here we go. Hello, welcome to Prestige Living, your channel that feeds you all the success stories, overcome hardships, and ongoing obstacles of the daily entrepreneur here in Orange County. I'm your host, Jay O'Brien, with your co-host, Jordan Wilson.
Hey, Jay.
Hi.
Hi.
What do you have?
Well, we have a guest today, but first I want to reference, because it kind of has to do with Lori Gilbert. So we talked to Lori Gilbert, and the theme of that thing was kind of like hidden talent. You know, she was forced to take a painting class. You know, she didn't want to, and she said, I can't do this. I can't do that. But lo and behold, she discovered she has a hidden talent. Our guest today kind of had the opposite going on. One day while watching the Food Network, he was like, hey, I can do that. So he did. And this initial experiment led to some awesome things, which we're going to talk about. Let me see if I have them all. I know I'm probably going to skip a few or miss a few. Co-founded the Lime Truck in Orange County at the height of the food truck craze. He then went on to win season 2 of the food truck race on the Food Network, where it all began. Then this victory allowed him to open up his brick and mortar restaurant called The Playground in downtown Santa Ana. Shortly afterward, the private dining room, Playground 2.0, was open, followed by the Dough Exchange Bakery. And if that's not enough, now he has 3 different venues in the Santa Ana, the 4th Street Markets, collectively known as Lunchbox by Playground, and I'm being told it's 5 now.
Yeah, 5 now.
5. So that's the voice. This guy's poured so much passion into each one of these projects. I'm glad we were able to get him in here. His schedule sucks. Welcome to the show, Jason Quinn. Thanks for having us, or thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
So let's go through the whole thing.
It starts in the beginning.
Start from when you were a server. Like what happened here?
I was waiting tables, and one of the parties said, you're not a regular waiter. What's the deal? And I said, yeah, I'm saving up to go to culinary school. And they're like, yeah, would you be willing to come cook for us and our friends? And, of course. So I did it. The day that I cooked for them, there was a guy there who owned a restaurant who was looking for a new chef. I lied my way in, got the job, hated it. The guy was a fucking douchebag. I was there for not even 2 months.
I just want to know, it's 20 seconds in and we already got our first call.
I told you it was not gonna. There's no way around it. But yeah. So I worked at this place for around 2 months. I was fed up, and then Daniel, my lime truck partner, called me. He said, I want to start a food truck. Are you interested in just writing a menu? I said, let's just be partners. And then I walked out of that place.
So when you said you were saving up to go to culinary school, but you already knew how to cook?
Well, I mean, in this day and age, I think culinary school is obsolete. I mean, it's probably never been more popular because I think that parents have this guilt idea, like if their kids finish high school, they want them to go to a secondary school. Even if I have a history degree and I've never used it for 1 second. Like my dad said, he's like, it's not what you learn in college. It's like jumping through 4 years of hoops and accomplishing a goal. He's like, that's what college is about, not what you learn, in
right.
each individual class. And so I did it. I mean, like I said, I have a history degree, and for that reason, I didn't feel a need to go back to school. Now, that being said, I wanted to go be the best chef in the world. And wasn't until my kitchen manager, when I was at Houston's, he looked at me, he's like, I'm still paying off my culinary school. I'm 37. I'm still paying it off right now. Like, why would you go do that? You already like cooking. You already think you can do it. Why don't you just go prove it or not? So I said, okay, that's actually pretty good advice, and that leaves me from having to go to school for 2 more years, which is great. And so then I went and started cooking at that other restaurant, and obviously, not everything I made was a success. Still to this day, not everything I make is a success. And then being on Lime Truck and changing the menu every day for a year, and being in the situation where we were messing around with things between $3 and $10. People are really forgiving in that price point where a $50 lobster plate that sucks, you're probably never going back,
Right.
And so anyway, so I was able to make a shit ton of mistakes on Lime Truck, just cooking food that was, instant feedback. People are eating this 5 feet away from me. Either they come back and say, that was amazing, keep it around forever, or I watched some guy take a smell and throw it away. That really happened. I watched someone do that, and I'll never forget it in my entire life. because it was this incredible drive to make me want to get better. And that was the beauty of Lime Truck, is there was all these people who were really supportive of just what we were doing in general, figuring it out on the fly. And they were remarkably supportive. They would come every single day and try whatever the new food was and instantly give feedback. And that was really what I think got me in a position where I thought it was a good idea to open a restaurant.
So when you were serving and you already knew how to cook, or you thought you did?
Yeah, cooking professionally and cooking are two very, very different things.
Right.
I could roast a chicken and make some broccoli, that's no problem. That's cooking. But at the same time, there's no way I could have organized a kitchen of 20 guys and run service on a Friday night. That's a much different situation.
So when you were recruited out of that serving gig to be that chef, were you like, holy shit, I'm totally out of my element?
Like I said, I totally lied my way in, right?
Okay.
I had no business being there. I had never cooked professionally anywhere else. And in our industry, we have this thing called a stage, and it's an unpaid internship. It's if I go on vacation, I'll contact a restaurant that I really like. I'll say, hey, can I come stage for a day? Basically just means I'm going to come, I'm going to be your bitch. Just put me in the corner. I want to just see how your kitchen works. I want to get real life experience, work, see some cool stuff that you guys do. And we have stages at our restaurant, literally every day we have at least one stage. And we have some people who stage for 6 months and it is their culinary school. And we have some people who stage for 6 minutes and then they realize that they don't want to work in a kitchen. Right. But we'll give anyone a chance, because there was nothing hireable about me the day that I got a job. And I don't want to miss somebody who just doesn't have an impressive resume but is talented.
Right. That's the thing I find so interesting, is that if you're cooking at home, that's one thing, and you get it to a certain extent, but there's really no pressure. And then here you are getting hired to do it professionally. It's well, shit, I better actually.
Fake it till you make it, dude. That's the truth. Is I went in and I was the first person there. I was the last person to leave, and you go in and you bust your ass the whole time, and you're just trying, bouncing ideas off other people. You can be a chef in a situation where it's this is my way. If you don't like it, get the fuck out of here. Or you can say, what do you think is the best idea? And you can try to come at the common ground with the other chefs around. Because these people, even at that restaurant, they'd seen more than I had seen. They had cooked more than I had cooked. I had more ambition, perhaps, more drive, more desire to be the best, which will get you quite far. Because a lot of people in the industry are happy to just kind of whatever.
Right.
I'll sit back, and you want me to cook chicken, I'll cook chicken. You want me to cook steak, I'll cook steak. They don't care. Right. And that's fine. And there's, you need Indians, but you need chiefs too. So
when you're there you were at that job for 2 months, and then you bounced, you did the Lime Truck. Mm-hmm. What year was that?
So I left Houston's February 2010. And I left the other restaurant, which will remain nameless, in May.
Okay.
So, it wasn't an immediate move. So I left in May. We opened Lime Truck literally 3 weeks later. So June 16th was opening day of Lime Truck.
And that was your one and only gig at that point.
I had done stages. I had spent a couple days here, spent a couple days there. But as far as
you didn't have a side job.
As far as having a job, no, I had nothing.
Okay.
Right.
Were you renting an apartment at the time?
I had signed a lease when I was working at Houston's. And the best thing about it is I was making great money just serving at Houston. So right. I was fine. I wasn't making anything working in the kitchen, but I was getting to cook all day, which was better than any monetary value that I could have at that point. And so we started Lime Truck in June. On January 4th of the next year, I knew I wanted out, and it wasn't because of my partner, it wasn't because of anything else. I knew that I didn't want to be in a fucking truck anymore. There was a couple days that I had showed up, and one of the things that I hadn't prepped the previous night before. The food trucks, they have to be plugged in, and that's how the air conditioning works. That's mm-hmm. how the refrigerator works. And someone didn't plug our truck in. And so I go and I pull this thing out, and there's literally maggots crawling out of it. And I'm just dude, I worked so fucking hard on this. And it just is, if it was just bad, if it just smelled off, that'd be one thing. But watching it, overnight, not even 12 hours, there's maggots in here now. I'm how is this fucking possible? Yeah. And that was when I was I don't want to cook food in the truck anymore. I don't want to, it doesn't matter what truck it is. Our truck was particularly beat up, but I didn't want to be in a situation where I could come back and that could happen ever again. So right. I told my partner, I said, look, dude, I want out. We had a shotgun clause agreement in our thing, so he got to pick a number. That's what he paid me. And I said, look, I want to open a restaurant, so I'm, probably 11 months away from doing that. I'll stay with you for 6 months. We'll do whatever you want. I'll help you get the business in the way that you want to do it, and then I'll go. And then like 4 months into that period, we got contacted by Food Network, and they're like, hey, it's like 2 days from now. Do you want to go? I'm like, that's the kind of notice they gave us. So in 2 days, we found a new truck. We wrapped it. We found a whole new staff that could execute what we were doing out here. And me, my partner, and another guy, we just left for 7 weeks. Just didn't look back. And thank God we won. Otherwise, it would have been a big fucking waste of time. But
it's another risk. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, it wasn't a risk for me at that point. I was still getting paid as an employee at that point. Like, I had sold my ownership 4 months earlier, so I was getting a paycheck either way. Didn't matter to me. And it was great to go get TV exposure, to go see the country. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Right?
You guys knew you were going to win, didn't you?
I mean, I did. On day one, we got there, and I looked around, and I'm like, if we don't win, it'll be because we messed up. It won't be because people were better.
Wow. So how did you raise capital to buy the truck in the beginning and do all that stuff?
We spent $6,000 each to open the food truck, to get our doors open. So, I mean, it was a nothing business. I mean, it's $12,000 to open and sell. $12,000 in 3 weeks was all it took.
I remember where we were in Andrew's house when you told me you were going to open the food truck.
Yeah, no, of course.
So when you finished up and the TV show was done, so what happens when you win? Is it like a monetary reward?
We got $100,000, but you get it when that episode airs.
Okay.
Right? So not right away. I mean, they were in Miami, briefcase, $100,000, dancing on the beach, and then they're like, okay, give it back. And you're like, but you just gave it to me. Like, yeah, dream on, dude. They're like $50 in there. There's not even and you look at it and you're like, oh, there's not even real money. Like, god damn it.
Oh, man.
And then
Florence,
I know, what a fucker, right? So then anyway, like they did a pretty quick job of editing it, and I think we got paid in August when it was June that we were actually filming it, so it's not so bad. And then Playground opened November 18th of that same year. So just timeline, I mean, it was 11 months to the day almost from when I left.
Right.
To when we opened. And then it was a year and a half until we opened 2.0, which is the smaller one. And then exactly a year and a half on our 3-year anniversary, we opened the bakery. And then February 16th of this year, we opened the market, which has the 3 lunchbox concepts, which are the Noodle Tramp, PFC, and Wagyu Chuck. And then we have Recess, which is the bar, and On a Roll, which is a grocery store.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you keep opening up these things. Like, do you just have like managers and employees lined up?
We have 156 employees across the board.
And how many owners are there in total aside from you?
Well, I own 80%.
Okay.
And my dad owns 20.
Okay. So when you were doing the food truck, when you were doing the show, even though you were an employee and you didn't have ownership, you still were able to get the reward.
I mean, it was, it was a 3-way thing. There was, Daniel, who technically was the owner, like, he could not have avoided paying us. I mean, it was a Food Network contract that we were paid with.
I see.
It wasn't like he was given the $100,000 and got to decide that he wanted to divvy it out however he chose. It was like, hey, you all 3 competed. You're the 3 who won. Here's your money.
So let's go back to the restaurants. Those are in downtown Santa Ana, in the Arts District, and all that area.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke to George Mendoza of American Barbershop, and he spoke a little bit about the changes he's seen in the neighborhood. What have you seen since Playground first opened its doors in that area?
I mean, when we were getting in the building stage, I was going out in Santa Ana quite a bit, going up to Broadway, going to, at that time, the Crosby, now the North Left, Copper Door,
Theater.
Chapter 1, Lola Gaspar, what'd you say?
I said Yost Theater.
Yeah, Yost Theater, and I was going out through all of those, and there was a lot of people in my demographic, people excited about having, what I would call an unstale experience in Orange County, something real, something fresh, something where the owner of whatever business it is there pouring drinks. Like, to me, there's a charm in that. There's not this idea that the owner's just sitting on a fucking yacht somewhere, like smoking a Cuban, just getting rich, and like, you're just part of the machine. Like, you see that this guy's working, frankly, harder than you are, and you're like, I'm happy to support this place. I'm happy to be here. I like the feel of it. It's real. It's organic. It's something that this person wanted to cultivate. It's not just the Cheesecake Factory cut copy mentality. And that was really how I fell in love with Santa Ana. Just meeting the people who were part of it. And obviously now, like, there's more people who go to Santa Ana today than there were 3.5 years ago. What we're finding is that people who don't want the Cheesecake Factory experience are coming. And that's great because that's our target demographic. You know, people who want valet, like, I can't wait for you to leave soon enough. You know, I mean, I get it. Like, hey, my car got broken into this weekend in the 4th Street parking lot structure. Thank God nothing got taken, which was weird that it got broken into and nothing got taken. I understand there's an inherent risk. I mean, I've lived there been there for almost 4 years, every single day. One time my car gets broken into, I don't think that's like a bad stat. But, you know, in general, the area is changing. You're absolutely right. I mean, with the market, we have tons of different demographics coming in. Families, people who are excited to go eat food that is made by people who care. You know, I don't want to say there's one group that's coming and one group that's not. It's incredible to see a mass import of people in general.
So now you've spoken about the neighborhood. What changes has the playground gone through? Because I remember when you guys first opened, you had like a different concept than what it is now.
I mean, our first concept lasted like 48 hours. I mean, we just, what we've done really well and what we've been very happy to admit from second one of inception, it's like, we're not sure what we're doing at all. And we're going to do our best and we care. And so if we're not doing something right, we're going to fix it, you know? And that's what we've always said is it's not necessarily the successes that we make, but more of how we handle our mistakes. And that for that reason, like if you come in and you don't like your experience and you know, I read about it or whatnot, and I'm like, shit, I wouldn't have liked that either. I've reached out to people and I said, that sounds horrible. Like that sounds like a terrible time. What happened to you when you came here? That's not what happens every day. That's not why we're busy. There's no way we'd be able to support it. Like I think you were part of a fluke. And if you're interested in coming back, I'm happy to foot the bill, right? Why not? I mean, honestly, there's no reason not to, especially if we messed up. I mean, there's some person came in, ordered a burger and fries to go, and complained that the fries were soggy. It's like, you're a fucking idiot. You took it to go. We don't do to-go food. We put it on a plate. You put it into a box. You did, right? Like, you didn't have one fresh, and you're judging me on 40-minute-old French fries. You're the problem with everything in the world.
And I think, you know, because I have a hospitality background and I've been in restaurants.
Tell me that person's not the problem with everything.
No, like, I'm going to say, dude, and that's one of the things why I love the playground and I love you as a chef is like, you're so completely unapologetic and you do it your way. And I think...
Did you not hear me just apologize to people? I'm very apologetic.
No. Yeah, but that's if like something genuinely goes wrong.
Yeah, which is when you should apologize.
But when people are the
problem.
Like when people are the problem, it's like, you know, you don't coddle those people.
No, I mean, it says on the door of the restaurant, it has a 1-star Yelp review, and it says, this ain't Burger King, you don't have it your way. TOW, right? That's a real thing. It says on the door. And this guy comes in, he's like, I just don't understand why I can't get my drink. This is what I drink every single night. I'm like, sir, with all due respect, like, I put the fucking sign on the door, dude. I'm trying to keep you out. You made it in. Like, what can I do? What can I personally do? I knew you were going to have a problem with this. I put this sign on the door to keep you from coming in. If you are a person that already knows the way you want it, before you walk in, you should go somewhere else. Because what do they say? They say, well, I'm paying good money. And I'm quick to remind them, I don't give a shit about your money. Because I'm going to see 6 cents of it at the end of the day per dollar, right? Like, I don't care enough to have a bad experience dealing with you. If I'm making 96 cents a dollar, dude, I'm licking your toes.
Right.
But like at 6 cents a dollar, you can go fuck yourself. Like I want you to come and be a part of what we're doing, not because I want to take home your money, right? Like I want to get that out in the open. It's not a for-profit business in that sense. That's not our number one goal. You know, I mean, we want to impress people with our food and our service and the experience. And if we happen to make some money, like that's great.
When I remember watching an interview with you, I think it was like a YouTube interview, somebody, and you were talking about how just try it our way first, where you're saying like, well, the burger or whatever it was, it needs to have this kind of cheese and it needs to have this kind of mustard or whatever it is that you put on there because this complements this complements this. Try it our way first. We know what we're doing, and then if you don't like it, we'll find something else.
I mean, like you're right. On our burger, we have this like onion compote. It's like nice and sweet, and the meat we season like just right to the brim of saltiness. Just because we love that really juicy, super intense flavored burger. If you get it without the onions, you're going to look at me and say it's too salty. You will. I guarantee it. So why would I let that happen? Right. Why would I let it happen one time? Like, there's another story that we kind of write a little thing about when you first sit down. And it was when I was at Houston's. This woman orders the Hawaiian ribeye well done. And that's a steak that's marinated in pineapple and soy and brown sugar and all sorts of other burnable things. She orders it well done. So we cook it well done just because, of course, the guest is always right. And we bring it out, and I'm like, oh, how's your steak? She goes, it's burnt and dry. I'm like, oh, perfect. Like that's, so it's just how you asked for it. She's like, well, I didn't want it burnt on the outside. And I'm like, it has pineapple juice and soy and brown sugar, and you just asked us to put it on the grill for 22 minutes. Like, so this person is judging us because of what we did to accommodate her. And she wrote a 1-star Yelp review that night and did not mention my snarky comment, thank God. But anyway, so that was the moment of clarity for me when I realized that people are going to judge whatever's on the plate regardless of how it got there. Regardless.
Yeah. We talked to George, and this reminds me of it, and I love the way things are going right now. And one of the things we talked about last week is that the millennial generation is taking over. End of story. We've got entrepreneurs that are in the 20s and 30s, and it's the biggest population to date. And so essentially that's the group that's taking control. So when we all grow up and are growing up, it's like we're doing things a certain way because we genuinely believe in it. It's not strictly for profit. It's not for this. It's not for that. Like you said, you apologize when you're wrong. It's not like this traditional button-up conservative work environment anymore, and where we're not afraid to put a 1-star review on the frickin' front door and say, hey, it's not your way. I think that is what's revolutionizing the whole county and really the whole generation, because people are buying that authenticity, and I think that I really love that direction. Here you are with your tattoos and like your short sleeve shirt, and it's like I'm the same way, and
I thought you were joking. Sorry.
Yeah. For those listening, I'm not wearing a short sleeve shirt right now, but yeah. So I just love that it's like you can be real about it, and it is what it is.
Yeah. For instance, I don't think that obviously I own businesses, right? That being said, I'm personally studying a craft. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis. I try to handle as little of the big decisions as possible. Like, I'm not doing fucking payroll, right? I'm breaking down fish. I'm cutting vegetables. That's what I love doing. I cook service every night, 5 nights a week, that I'm cooking for 18 to 36 guests who come into 2.0. And there's a lot of chefs that, at this point in their career, they're like in an office all day, like just pushing paperwork. Dude, like I'm with a knife in my hand the whole day because I want to cook. I'm not trying to be rich and fat in the Bahamas. I want to be good at cooking. Like, that's my goal every single day that I want to do. And I have things in place that I only have to worry about that. Now, obviously, like 10% of the time I have to do other bullshit, but for the most part, I get to just do exactly what I want. And that is what I think makes it so good, is that I'm not concerned about that bottom line. I'm concerned about getting the right people in the restaurant. And any business would tell you that if they had the opportunity to screen their customers or people that would going to be a nightmare, it's like, like you can just go down there, like they'll be happy to help you, and then just like you don't have to deal with them.
Yep.
I had this feeling when we were getting ready to open the restaurant, we were getting ready to play by the traditional rules, and I'm like, oh God, I'm sure there's going to be such gnarly modifications and all this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? Why the fuck would I do it? I'm already dreading it right now. I'm already in a situation where I won't be happy if I'm letting all these people walk all over me. I'm like, maybe we should just try to do it our way. I'd rather know right away that my dream doesn't work than be the person that waits till they're 65 to try it.
Right.
It's like, I'll just try it right now, and like we talked about, the style of service we did at the very beginning was like lasted 2 days. Everybody hated it.
So what is that? Can you elaborate on it?
We wanted it to be an unbelievably relaxing environment where it was really on your terms. And one of the things that I hate about the traditional dining experience is like not pestering service, but servers in a situation where they're like, hey, do you want to upsell? Like, would you rather try this? Do you guys want dessert? So we're like, look, dude, like we'll just have open seating. You can walk up to the bar, you order whatever you want, come back, sit down, like find the table that you want to sit in, and people were walking up, ordering food, and then not finding a seat, and like they were just holding their little number and standing, and we're like walking out with food, just like handing it to them where they, it was a disaster. And we were happy to admit it right away. This didn't work. We switched it up. Sorry, it took not even 2 days to get it right, or not to get it right, but to stop doing it that way. Mm-hmm. And we've listened to everything that anyone's ever said. We might not necessarily have adjusted for it, but I've read all 1,820 Yelp reviews that we have. Every single one. I've read them. I've internalized them. I've replied to probably 400 of them, 500 of them, and move along. You know, it's like you got to know what someone thinks about their experience, and you got to try to determine, is this person right or is this person stupid?
Yep.
Was there ever a point where you, like, you're at the lowest, where you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't going to work?
On Lime Truck, yeah, we had days like that, but we were lucky enough to have just enough positive momentum going into Playground that there were days that were like, oh, we kind of expect to be busier than this, but it was like 2 weeks of that. You know, I mean, not a lot of time at all.
What do you credit to the popularity?
I'm so happy that you asked. I have a great answer for you.
Let's hear. I thought you were going with organic answers.
No, I will tell you that the key to success in life, in my experience, is you have to find the right person to tell to fuck off. And in my case, it was a woman named Nasim M.
Okay, so this made the news because I remember watching you on TV talk about this. We need to hear this story.
First Saturday night that we're open as a restaurant, one of my servers, good server, comes back to me and says, you know, chef, I don't think I can turn these people around. They've been here for 5 minutes and they're a fucking nightmare. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Like, I'm going to go talk to them. So I walk out, I talk to them. They're not particularly nice people. And they're already complaining about why won't you do the burger well done? We're chefs from New York. All this stuff. Like, first of all, if you're a chef, there's no way you'd ever order a burger well done. Like, at all. Right, at all. But either way, that's fine, whatever. And I was quick to remind these people that there was many options of where they could dine tonight, and that I was happy if I was happy to cover the drinks that they had, and they could go find one of those places and no problem. You know, it's like, look, guys, you might not be in the right place. They're like, no, we really want to eat here. We really do. So I make this decision that we're going to kill them with kindness. We send them out like 4 or 5 free plates. Like, hey, just here you go. Sorry about that initial little tiff that we had. They send some of the free food back, right? God. Like, they're just fucking cunts. And I don't say that word lightly. And so anyway, so at the end of the meal, I walk out, and we have a policy. It's our religion. If you don't like it, you don't pay for it, right? Like, that's, if I ever know that someone doesn't like a dish, I walk up, I take it off the bill. No, anytime. It doesn't matter who it is. Could be my best friend who gets a bunch of stuff for free, or a guest who's bought one thing. Doesn't matter. And so I walk up and say, guys, I can't charge you. I don't think you had a good time. Just get the fuck out. Like, honestly, please just leave. And they're like, no. You did everything you could. We want to pay. So I, give them this skeleton bill. It's probably like $70 or something. They tip really well. And then they walk out of the restaurant and leave like the most scathing Yelp review ever. Where they took jabs at my family, my brother, my parents, myself. I'm like, look, dude, you dealt with me. Like, if you want to talk something to me, like, I'm happy to hear it. I deserve it, frankly. But you bring my family into it, like, that's fucked up. And so I couldn't even look at my wife in the face. She was like, hi. I'm like, you need to leave me alone for like 10 minutes so I can respond to this. And then I can actually like remember that there's love in the world and good things. Because I was so upset I couldn't even focus. And so I wrote back, I'm like, my only regret in dealing with you was not demanding that you left. That was really the only thing that I regretted. And fuck you, burn in hell. Right? And that's like what I wrote, and just sent. And I just like walked away. And my wife's like, dude, you just killed the restaurant. Like, there's no way it's going to survive this. I don't care. And so the very next day, news, eater, everything just freaked out. Like, someone told a customer to burn in hell. I'm like, this wasn't a customer, this was a monster, for what it's worth. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I did, because I was pissed off. And given the situation, I feel like I was perfectly in line to tell this person that they're the worst person in the world. Like, they were asked to leave. They were told, just leave. I know you didn't like it. I don't want your money. Just go. And they refused. And then they decided that they were going to try to stick it to me. And they are the reason that we're busy right now. That one moment is exactly why.
That was the tipping point.
The tipping point for sure. We did not have an empty seat after that. I mean, and more importantly, like what I was talking about earlier, we were full with the right people.
Right.
Because we had people who called and canceled their reservations. They're like, oh, we don't want to come there. We heard what the chef said. We don't want to do that. And I'm like, thank you so much for trusting your instinct, because if that's what you think, you would have hated it.
Yeah.
And if you're saving me dealing with another person who hates it, that's great. And that's why that girl's Yelp review is on the door, not a different person. But I told her, I wrote back to her, said, I know that you set out to just rip me up, but you helped me. You know, she said, well, what do you mean? I said, if someone reads your 6-line run-on sentence, illiterate, no punctuation, no capitalization review about how terrible this restaurant is, and they agree with you,
it saves you a headache.
That saves me. And if someone, more importantly, reads this and goes, this person's illiterate, and they don't know how to use their English language, how could they possibly know what a good restaurant is? You do me a favor.
Perfect.
And I said,
filter right there.
I know, right? And I said to her, I said, you know, because you were so perfectly the wrong person for us, what would have been written on the door that would have kept you out? I asked her this, right? And she wrote back with like more run-on sentences and whatnot. And I'm like, you know what? I have something. Thank you. And I just put her first line.
Perfect.
Great.
So why is it called the Playground?
Originally, not a lot of people know this. Originally, it was going to be, we were going to do what is now the Playground concept at another building that we fell in love with, that we couldn't afford at the time. And so we said, okay, well, in the time being, we'll just open like a burger bar at this restaurant where Playground currently is. We'll just open a burger restaurant. We'll do like 10 burgers. And I was writing the menu. I accidentally ate like a weed cupcake, and I had this like crazy, crazy day where I was so depressed about this idea of having to cook burgers, because I was like, if I have 10 burgers on the menu, only one burger can be the best. Like, how can I knowingly sell 9 burgers that are less than the best? You know, one of them is going to be the worst. How can I be in a situation where if someone orders like the 10th worst burger, and I'm like, oh, you're not going to like it, you know? So then I was like, why don't we just open a restaurant that sells one perfect burger, and then we can do whatever we want with the rest of it. When we were still in burger mode, we were talking about like freshly grinding meat every day, like from the ground up, all the stuff. And then Playground kind of just came into being as a name for the burger restaurant. And then when I had the weed cupcake epiphany, I was like, Playground is the perfect name for this restaurant, which is this place where we try new things every day, and we work with the best ingredients in the world, and it's a chef's playground. And then I'm like, okay, now it makes sense, and that's how it happened.
So the concept now, you said it's different in comparison to the concept now. If you were to describe the concept of Playground now to someone, how would you describe it?
I mean, it's a chef's playground where we change the menu every day, and
so the menu's different every single day.
Every single day we've printed a different menu.
Wow, that's awesome. And then, so how does that compare to like the other new ventures like bakery and all these other things going on?
The bakery came because I had 2 unbelievably talented bakers on my staff that were working next to me and getting flour all over my tools. And I'm like, you guys need a new place to bake. Like, and the space right next door was available as well. So, and it was previously a bakery. So it was like, I mean, we by no means walked in and just started baking. We had to spend like $500,000 to rebuild it. But we had bakers. Why wouldn't we have a bakery? You know, we've never bought bread after like month 2. We have not bought one single piece of bread from anybody else, because we produce anything we need, we produce ourselves. And like I said, you know, we have people who are happy to do it, who are good at doing it. Why not give them another output to sell their products as well? You know, at the market or in the grocery store, we sell tons of loaves of bread a day because they're real, beautiful, fresh breads for like $3, $4 a loaf. And they're made by a real person in a real bakery right across the street who cares about your health at the end of the day. And we're using organic bread flour. And it's like, you know, this is a good thing that we can be in this situation. With now our burger restaurant, we produce, you know, 500 burger buns a day for this thing from our own bakery. That's pretty cool. You know, if we have a problem with our bun, we can tweak it right there, as opposed to calling somebody else and, hey, we need this and this and this. And
right.
More importantly, when we first opened, we were so unprepared that we're doing our bread orders like 6 hours before we need them. And they're like, dude, that's not how it works. Like, we need 2-day lead time, 3-day lead time. I'm like, okay. So then I would order like 100. We would go through like 8, and then I'd, you know, get 100 show up 3 days later. I'm like, well, I don't need this much now, but I had to order it 3 days ago. So it was a mess. And then we ended up having to bake in-house just because we didn't have burger buns. And then we hired bakers after that.
So Jason, anybody talking to you, they can like clearly feel like the enthusiasm and the passion. How do you keep that day after day?
It's not something that I ever work on. It's not like, I got to do my daily enthusiasm keeping upping. You know, it's like, in general, like I go to work, and like the thing that I'm in this for in the long run is having that person look at me and like not being able to explain how delicious what they just ate is, not understanding why every meal that they've ever had doesn't taste like this. You know, that to me is the reward, right? Like the very first dish that I cooked, the one that I saw on Food Network, the one that I made, I served it to, 10 people, and everyone's looking at me like, how did you make this? And I mean, I've never done heroin, but I imagine it was the same way as a heroin junkie. The very first time they shoot up, they're just chasing that initial high of whatever it is. And for me, it's just like, I want to get every day, like if I don't have someone tell me that like that was the best meal of their life, that was the best steak they've ever had, how do you do this? That's so amazing. Like I'm going to cry, whatever it is. That to me is like, that's my goal every day. And if I didn't get it yesterday, like I want it more today. And if I did get it yesterday, I want it even more. You know, I want to keep going. And that to me is like, it's not a conscious choice. It's like, it's infectious. Like I don't have a choice. I'm a slave to this addiction of making people happy.
So normally one of the questions that we ask people that come in here is, what would you give somebody in your shoes 5 years ago? Like what piece of advice would you give somebody looking to start either their own restaurant or a food truck or whatever? But I want to tweak it a little bit. You know, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give the Jason Quinn of 5 years ago?
My biggest regret in general is that I never really worked in a kitchen before, my own kitchen. You know, I mean, I would love to go stage all over the world and really learn. And I think that the 5 years ago me was like just so hungry to get started. I mean, I went to real college, so I already felt behind. I already felt like, man, I'm 4 years behind whoever's starting cooking right now at 18.
Right.
And I wanted to catch up. I wasn't okay with like, okay, now I'm going to start my career. I was like, I need to get back up there. So I would have probably said to me 5 years ago, like, it's going to be all right. You need to go do this first.
So which chef that maybe Jay and I have heard of would you like to cook for or cook with or have a meal with?
I mean, there's so many, right? But if I'm going to what you peasants have heard of, I probably have to drop some, like, do you know who Rene Redzepi is?
I thought you were going to say Guy Fieri.
Oh, you fucking asshole. Rene Redzepi is literally the best chef in the world. Like, he should be known if you're doing stuff like this.
Who's the chef of Alinea in Chicago?
Alinea. Grant Achatz.
Okay, I went there in Chicago.
I went there as well. Did you like it?
Oh my god, it was the best experience of my life.
It's a good experience for sure. Grant would be an amazing guy to cook with. I mean, you name it, like any of the big guys, it would be really quite an honor to just even chat about food with. Funny story, I wrote my college thesis on a guy named Heston Blumenthal. And I was in Las Vegas about 4 years ago, and I was talking to a lady, and she's like, "Well, what do you do?" I said, "I'm a chef." She goes, "Oh, I was just chatting with the chef a few minutes ago." I'm like, I don't know, he's English, bald, glasses. I'm like, Heston Blumenthal? She's like, "Yeah, I think that was it." She pulls out a piece of paper. She's like, "Look, yeah, that's his number, right?" I'm like, "Can I have that?" Like. She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I wrote my thesis on this guy. Like, I know so much about this dude, and I still have it. I've never called him, but I was just in England. I just ate at his restaurant not even 2 weeks ago." And,
Jordan's calling him right now, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, let's get him on the line, dude. Let's not even.
Surprise number one for you. Let's see what we got on the line.
Yeah. That'll be the day.
So I've got a question. I ask everybody this, especially, I mean, staying so busy and having all your hands in everything. What does your morning routine look like? Like, what time do you wake up? What do you do in the morning to stay fresh?
I usually wake up with the sun. I mean, I'll set an alarm, but it very seldomly is the thing that wakes me up. My wife and I, she works the same hours that I do. We only have one car, so we'll get up at kind of her pace. We'll go to Santa Ana. We'll go to Portola, have a coffee, maybe a pastry, and then I usually am in the restaurant by 9:30. And we have our first meeting with the chefs at 11, or with the cooks rather. So the chefs are all in around 9. We're talking about the problems from last night. We're talking about the problems for today. We're talking about the new things coming on. And then at 11 o'clock, the cooks come in. We tell them what's going to happen through the day. And then we get cooking. And then the next thing I know, it's 11 at night. And I'm going home.
Rinse and repeat.
Okay. Another question. Favorite quote or philosophy that you live by?
I went to the woods because I wanted to live deliberately. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, and to put to rout that which was not life, and not when I had come to die discover that I had not lived.
I gotta say, no one can go off the cuff on that question.
I know,
but you wanted it. You wanted it, and you got it.
Is that tattooed somewhere on your arm?
Yeah, for sure, right here.
Oh, I knew it was going to be that.
And who wrote that?
Henry David Thoreau, Walden's Pond.
Love that. So, of all the sacrifices that you've made throughout the last 5 years or so, what do you think is the biggest one, like the biggest struggle to date?
If I wasn't married or in a serious relationship before I started the restaurant, that would be my biggest regret. Is that I would be out chasing tail. I would be hungover every day. I would be like this guy.
Points to Jordan.
Nudges Jordan. And I would be a mess. And frankly, like my wife, she's like, oh, I don't like think I deserve any support. I'm like, dude, you keep me grounded. Like you keep me inspired. You make it so that all I have to worry about is the food, because we have this great thing going on. And like I don't feel like I have any sacrifices at this point. Like clearly I've worked quite a few of the hours of the last 3.5 years, and I'll never get those back, But I missed stuff, but like I missed going to Coachella. Like that's not a real thing, I missed a party here, a dinner here, whatever. Like, but because I worked Tuesday morning to Saturday night, so Friday night things, Saturday night things. I don't get to hang out with Jordan anymore. That's one of the sacrifices I've made. I've been able to cope.
You're doing quite well.
I've been able to cope well. Yeah, exactly. But in general, like that, I don't really know that I've had a lot of sacrifices. And if it wasn't for if I wasn't married, that my sacrifice would be like that I'm not able to have a healthy relationship, but I am.
What's your favorite book or a book that maybe you've gifted people the most?
I'm not that nice or generous, so like I haven't given that many presents.
Okay.
But as far as like book that I would give or book that I think everybody
should buy on their own.
Yeah. Dude, I'm such a book whore. I'd probably have 500, 600 books that I love that are all food related books. Momofuku is probably the one that if I was in a position that I had to give a book out, it'd probably be the one I would. It's a story about a chef named David Chang opening a small empire of restaurants in New York City, and kind of doing it in very much a similar fashion as we did, much more successfully, but in the same kind of he's more in a situation because he's in New York. He's like, if you don't like it, get the fuck out. Where if I'm like, oh, if you don't like it, I'll buy it for you. Don't worry. Like, it's
right.
Okay. He also is like a real chef, and I'm a person who is still learning as I go along. So if someone's like, I don't like it, I'm like, you're probably right. We probably messed it up. Like, let me grab that from you.
Right. What's so this is the last question. What is your biggest success to date? Like maybe a milestone or a moment where you're like, holy shit, that just happened.
When Lime Truck first opened, there was this thing called the Orange County Foodie Fest, and it was at the Honda Center, and it was like 4 Orange County food trucks and 46 LA food trucks. And at the time that we were doing this, LA was where good food trucks were, and Orange County was where there was no food trucks, and we were just like struggling to make a name for ourselves down here and whatnot. And we didn't even know this, but it was a competition the whole day. And we're sitting there, it's like 6:30, it's me and Daniel, and it's 2 people, period. Like, we were the only 2 people in the business. We didn't have any employees. It was just us 2. He did 100% of the order taking. I cooked every single piece of food, and we won best in show of the food truck race,
awesome.
of the thing, right? Like, they just came to us, they're like, hey, at 6:30, we're going to go announce the winners. Will you guys come with us? We're like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, you guys won something. We're like, okay. They got in 3rd place, these people. In 2nd place, these people were like, holy shit. Like, in 1st place, these guys.
One left.
And we're like, okay. It's like just 2 raggedy ass douchebags and fucking lime green headbands and maroon pants and whatever. And we're like, we just won something? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. And that was on a Sunday. So the Monday we took off. And Tuesday we're like, we had never cooked for more than 30 people in a day before this. And we show up at our stop for the day, and there's like 250 people in a line with nothing like in front of it.
Oh my god.
And so we go park somewhere, and this entire line just like shifts over to us. And I'm looking at the stuff that I have. I'm like, man, I maybe have like 17 orders of this thing. Like, I have 15 orders of this. And I remember walking out, like, I counted 50 people, and I was like, everyone behind this needs to go. Like, don't wait, because we won't have things at all. Like, please, we've never done 30 people. We understand that we won something. We didn't think that anyone heard about it or cared about it or knew about it. We were wrong. And so I apologized. I said, look, this is the last day we'll ever be unprepared. And we finished, and we went home, and we like prepped as much as we could forever, you know. And then at that point, we were like, we need to hire people, and so yeah, wow. that was kind of like that crazy, wow, we might actually be onto something moment.
That's awesome. So people who are listening to this and they want to come check out Playground and 2.0 and all these new ventures of yours in downtown Santa Ana, where do they go? What are the cross streets?
4th and Spurgeon in downtown Santa Ana.
Okay, and then can they follow you online, or do you have a website?
Playground DTSA, which stands for Downtown Santa Ana. You can go to that.com. You can do @that, and you can find my social media. But Playground DTSA, we're pretty easy to find.
Awesome.
Reservations recommended for Playground?
You know, a reservation is like, it's a promise. We'll have this table waiting for you at this time. We don't reserve that much of our dining room at all, because we want, A, to make sure that we can keep our promises, and B, we want to make sure that if you walk in, that we have a place for you. So I would say, don't get a reservation. Come up, put your name in, and go get lost in Santa Ana until you get called for your table. The 4th Street Market is an amazing way to kill some time. We have 3 different food establishments in there, a grocery store and a bar. So it's a wonderful place to go grab a drink beforehand. $8 cocktails. I mean, you can't beat it, you know.
The RE/MAX Prestige team does a monthly dinner, so I'm thinking, you know.
Yeah, and what is it? 18 of the last 24 months you guys have hosted that at my place. Is that correct?
Yeah, or maybe 19.
Oh, actually, yeah. I don't know that you've been.
I've been at Playground.
No, I know you have.
Put him on blast.
I'm big timed over here.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Cool, man. Well, thanks so much, Jason. We really appreciate you being on the show, man. And we promise we'll go.
It's a promise.
It's a promise. It's a reservation.
The good old Jay and Jordan promise is good as gold.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Of course.
If you would like to be on the Prestige Living podcast or know someone that would be a great guest, go to www.prestigelivingpodcast.com. We'd love to hear your story.
As a reminder to all of our listeners, RE/MAX Prestige services all of Orange County for tenants, buyers, and sellers looking for VIP service, zero pressure, and optimal results. Whether you're looking for your first condo at $150,000 or selling your $5 million luxury home, we are your solution. This week's testimonial comes from Julia Barden, who writes, I was dealing with a lazy, disappearing realtor when a coworker recommended RE/MAX Prestige. I texted my agent and immediately received a response. His quick response time and knowledge of the process became my favorite thing about him. According to my agent, my condo purchase was the second trickiest transaction to date, but he handled it and my endless questions and concerns with a professional and optimistic attitude. When it comes time to sell, I know who I'll be working with. Thanks, RE/MAX Prestige. So there you have it. Another example of our core philosophy, representing our clients' best interests at all times. Like us on Facebook by searching RE/MAX Prestige, and feel free to contact us online at prestigelivingpodcast.com. Thank you so much.